Flames danced hungrily through Cedar Hollow, their crackling whispers drowning out the town's silent prayers. Smoke curled into the twilight sky, obscuring stars that once guided lost travelers. Amid the chaos, a lone figure stood unwavering, clutching a silver pendant that glowed with an otherworldly light. As the fire consumed everything he knew, the weight of his grandmother's words settled upon him, setting him on a path that would intertwine faith, resilience, and the enduring power of hope. Chapter 1. Echoes of the Past. Barron. Trump's days at the Detroit homeless shelter were marked by routine. Each morning, he donned his worn jacket. The silver pendant nestled against his chest and served soup with a quiet dignity that earned him nods of respect from both staff and residents. Yet, beneath his calm exterior, memories of Cedar Hollow and the lessons from his grandmother simmered, guiding his every action. One chilly January evening, as snow began to blanket the city, Barron received an unexpected visitor, a young woman, no older than his own age when he first met Emma, entered the shelter with hesitant steps. Her eyes, wide with a mix of fear and hope, met his. "Can I help you?" Barron asked, his voice gentle. She hesitated before speaking. "My name is Lily. I heard about you, about what you did in Cedar Hollow. I'm lost and I think I need that pendant too." Barron studied her for a moment, recognizing the same desperation that had once driven him. He nodded slowly. "Come sit." As Lily settled beside him, Barron felt a familiar warmth emanate from the pendant. He took a deep breath, recalling his grandmother's words about light and cracks. "Tell me your story," he encouraged. Lily began to speak of her family's struggles, losing their home to foreclosure, her father's illness, and the despair that led her to the shelter. As she spoke, Barron saw reflections of his past in her eyes. He reached into his pocket, pulling out the pendant and placed it gently in her hand. "This pendant was given to me by my grandmother. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times there's light to be found. Maybe it can help you carry that light forward." Tears welled in Lily's eyes as she clasped the pendant. "Thank you. I think I understand now." Chapter 2. Seeds of change. Inspired by his encounter with Lily, Barron began to feel a renewed sense of purpose. He proposed an idea to the shelter's management, a community garden project. The shelter grounds, often bleak and cold, could transform into a place of growth and healing. At first, skepticism lingered. "We don't have the resources," one manager pointed out, but Barron's determination was unwavering. He reached out to local businesses, organized volunteer days, and even secured small grants for gardening supplies. Slowly, the shelter blossomed into a vibrant oasis amid the urban landscape. Flowers of every color sprang to life, vegetables thrived in raised beds, and a sense of community took root. Emma Grant, now a social worker with a keen eye for potential, visited the shelter to see Barron's project firsthand. She was impressed by the transformation and the smiles it brought to the residents' faces. "You've done something amazing here, Barron," she remarked, her usual guarded demeanor softened. Barron smiled. "We did it together, just like Cedar Hollow." Their conversation lingered long after Emma left, rekindling a connection that neither had fully realized they still shared. Chapter 3. Unveiling Shadows. Meanwhile, back in Cedar Hollow, the town was thriving. The church had been meticulously rebuilt, standing as a beacon of resilience. Pastor Mitchell, inspired by his final sermon, led the community in various outreach programs, ensuring no one was left behind. However, not all shadows had been dispelled. Mayor Henderson, though remorseful, struggled with his past actions. His son, now recovering, had grown distant, burdened by guilt and the weight of lost time. One evening, as the sun set over the newly restored town, Mayor Henderson visited the church. He knelt before the altar, the silver pendant catching the last rays of light. "I can't change what I did," he whispered, "but maybe I can help make things right." At that moment, a familiar figure approached, the retired carpenter who had crafted the new pews. "It's never too late to rebuild, Mayor," he said gently. "Just as the church stands, so can we." Moved by the carpenter's words and the town's unwavering spirit, Mayor Henderson vowed to dedicate himself to Cedar Hollow's continued growth, ensuring transparency and support for all its residents. Chapter 4. Threads of Destiny, Back. In Detroit, the journalist who had once tracked Barron to the shelter, Maya Reynolds, found herself drawn deeper into his story. Her initial article had garnered attention, but she sensed there was more to uncover. One evening, she approached Barron as he prepared meals. "Barron, your story, it's inspiring, but I feel there's a connection between Cedar Hollow and Detroit that hasn't been explored." Barron looked up, his eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps it's time we bridge the two towns." Together, they embarked on a journey that spanned miles and memories. Maya interviewed residents of Cedar Hollow, uncovering tales of rebuilding, faith, and newfound hope. She connected with Lily, who had thrived thanks to the pendant and the shelter's garden, now helping others in need. As their paths intertwined, Barron and Maya discovered a network of silent heroes, individuals who, like Barron, carried the light through their actions. The pendant became a symbol, not just of personal resilience, but of a collective strength that transcended towns and hardships. Chapter 5. The Silent Symphony. Months turned into years, and the influence of Barron's actions rippled outward. Cedar Hollow and Detroit became linked by a shared mission of healing and community. Annual gatherings were held, celebrating their journeys and the silent miracles that often went unnoticed. During one such gathering, held at the rebuilt church in Cedar Hollow, Emma stood before the crowd. "We've learned that faith isn't just about believing, it's about doing. It's about the silent steps we take to support one another, to rebuild what's broken." Barron, standing beside her, felt the pendant warm against his heart. He looked out at the faces before him, people bound by stories of loss and triumph, connected by the very light his grandmother had spoken of. As the evening sky darkened, lanterns were lit, illuminating the church and the surrounding area. The silver pendant, now a symbol of unity, was placed at the center of the altar, reflecting the collective hope and resilience of both towns. In that moment, Barron understood the true essence of his grandmother's words. The cracks, the ashes, and the silent steps all converged into a symphony of faith and community, where every silent act spoke louder than words. Epilogue. The endless light years later, Barron's legacy continued to inspire. The community garden in Detroit flourished, now tended by new generations who understood the power of a single spark. Cedar Hollow thrived as a model of resilience, its story told and retold as a testament to faith and unity. Barron, now a mentor and leader, often reflected on his journey, from the worn velvet pews of a tiny chapel to the heart of two thriving communities. The pendant, ever present, reminded him that even in silence, light found its way through the cracks. As he walked through the shelter, now expanded and vibrant, Barron encountered Lily, now a counselor helping others find their path. Together, they symbolized the enduring strength of lessons passed down, the unspoken bonds that held them together, and the endless light that continued to shine through the ashes. And somewhere, as the church bells of Cedar Hollow tolled in harmony with the city's heartbeat, the silent miracles persisted, proof that even in the quietest moments faith and hope speak louder than words. Faith isn't in the shouting, it's in the silence between the steps we take. The story of Barron Trump serves as a reminder that even in our darkest moments, the lessons of the past and the silent acts of kindness can ignite profound change. Through resilience, faith, and community, light can always find its way through the ashes.